Iyam visrushtiryata ababhuva yadiva dadhe yadivana yo asya jhakshaha parame vyomanso angam veda yadivana veda. Welcome back to Civilization Bridge. I took a break for a couple of months as work has kept me busy. I would like to thank all our channel subscribers for staying with me even when I took an extended break. I've been prepping not only the Ramayana episodes but also the next installment of Brihat Katha episodes, and I'm very excited to start from where we left off, from our previous episode on Sarga 6 of Balakanda from Valmiki Ramayana. We discussed some interesting details about Varna system, horse trading and elephant breeding practices in ancient India. This episode on Sarga 7 also has some interesting details. The Sarga introduces King Dasharatha's ministers. Then we'll discuss relevant parts of Chanakya's Arthasastra. What is the connection, you might ask? Well, in the prior episode we have established that Ramayana must be much older than the official 700 to 800 BCE dates. Chanakya's Arthasastra came about around 300 BCE, just a few decades after Alexander's invasion of India. We'll explore that connection, so stay tuned. Anyway, without any more delay, let us delve into Sarga 7 of Balakanda in Valmiki Ramayana. You know the drill. I'm going to go through a few verses and then at a logical point narrate the meaning of those verses. Then go to the next set of verses and so on and so forth. So let's go. Tasya matya gunairasan ikshvakostu mahatmanah mantrajñaschengitajñascha nityam priyahite ratah ashtau babhuva urvirasya tasya matya yashasvinah suchayaschanuraktасcha राजकृत्येषु नित्यस्यः धृष्टिर्जयन्तो विजयो सुराष्ट्रो राष्ट्रवर्धनः अकोपो धर्मपालश्च सुमन्त्रश्चाष्टमो भवत् ऋत्विजौ द्वावभिमतौ तस्यास्तां ऋषिसत्तमौ वसिष्ठो वामदेवश्च मन्त्रिणश्च तथा परे सुयज्ञोऽप्यथ जाबालिः काश्यपोऽप्यथ गौतमः मार्कण्डेयस्तु दीर्घायुः तथा कात्यायनो द्विजः एतैर्ब्राह्मर्षिर्भिर्नित्यमृत्विजस्तस्य पौर्वकाः विद्याविनीता ह्रीमन्तः कुशला नियतेन्द्रियाः श्रीमन्तश्च महात्मनः शास्त्रज्ञा दृढविक्रमाः कीर्तिमन्तः प्रणीताः यथा वचनकारिणः तेजः क्षमा यशः प्राप्ता स्मितपूर्वाभिभाषिणः क्रोधात् कामार्थहेतोर्वा न ब्रूयुरनृतं वचः तेषामविदितं किञ्चित् स्वेषु नास्ति परेषु वा क्रियमाणं कृतं वापि चारेणापि चिकीर्षितं कुशलाव्यवहारेषु सौहृदेषु परीक्षिताः प्राप्तकालन्तु ते दण्डं धारयेयुस्तेष्वपि कोशसंग्रहणे युक्ता बलस्य च परिग्रहे अहितं चापि पुरुषं न विहिंस्युरदूषकं वीराश्च नियतोत्साहा राजशास्त्रमनुष्ठिताः शुचीनां रक्षितारश्च नित्यं विषयवासिनां ब्रह्मक्षत्रमहिंसन्तस्ते कोशं सम्पूरयन् सुतीक्ष्णदण्डाः सम्प्रेक्ष पुरुषस्य बलाबलम् 1.7.1 तस्यामात्या गुणैरासन् इक्ष्वाकोस्तु महात्मनः मन्त्रज्ञाश्चेङ्गितज्ञाश्च नित्यं प्रियहिते रताः tasya, in that, referring to the kingdom, obviously in that kingdom, amatya, ministers, gunaihi, with qualities, asan, were, ikshvakostu, of Ikshvaku dynasty, mahatmanah, great soul, mantrajnaha, knowledgeable in counsel. Those who you can, mantrajnaha means those who know how to give the counsel. Cha, and ingitagnaha, those who understand subtle hints or gestures. In Telugu we commonly say ingita jnanam unda, means do you have common sense. Essentially, you know, you're not able to understand, you know, it's like are you able to understand the hints from the body language the others are projecting. Cha, and nityam, always, priya hite, in what is dear and beneficial. Priya hite, combines priya, dear. Hita means something that is beneficial. Rataha, delighted in or engaged in. So, summary of the verse is, in that kingdom of Ikshvaku, the ministers had excellent qualities. They belonged to the great leader of the Ikshvaku dynasty, knowledgeable in counseling as well as in common sense. They were engaged in doing beneficial acts towards the welfare and interests of their subjects. Ashtau babhuvur virasya tasyamatya yashasvinah suchayaschaanuraktascha rajakrutyeshu nityasya. Ashtau, 8 in number. Babhuvur, were. Virasya, brave. Tasya, in that kingdom. Amatya, ministers. Yashasvinah, glorious or renowned. Suchayaha, pure, clean. Cha, and. Anuraktaha, devoted. Cha, and. Rajakrutyeshu, in royal duties. Raja means royal. Krutya, doing your duties or tasks or rituals. Rajakrutyeshu. Nityasyaha, always. There were 8 renowned ministers who served the kingdom. They were pure and devoted. They were engaged in royal duties and they had a commitment and they were dedicated to their responsibilities and welfare of the kingdom. 1.7.3 Dhrishtir Jayanto Vijayo Surashtro Rashtravardhanaha Akopo Dharmapalascha Sumantrascha Ashtamo Bhavat. Drishtihi Jayantaha Vijayaha Surashtraha Rashtravardhanaha Akopaha Dharmapalaha Cha and Sumantra. These are all ministers, names of the people. Cha and Ashtamaha, the 8th. Interestingly, each name also reflects a virtue or a role. For example, Drishti means somebody who has vision. Jayanta and Vijaya indicate victorious aspects. Surashtra means Surashtra, suggests a good ruler. Rashtravardhana, somebody who enhances the kingdom. Akopa, who is not easily provoked. Kopa means anger. Dharmapala means protector of righteousness. Sumantra, good counseling minister. Collectively, these ministers are portrayed as pillars of King Dasharatha's reign. 1.7.4 Ritvijau dvav abhimatau tasyastam rishisattamau Vasishtho vamadevascha mantrinascha tathapare. Ritvijaha means priests. Dvau, 2. Abhimatau, somebody who is highly desired. Tasya, in that kingdom. Rishisattamau, best among sages. Vasishtho, Vasishtha. Vasishtha is one of the 7 eternal sages. Vamadevascha, Vamadeva is another great sage. Mantrinascha, and the ministers. Tatha, thus. Apare, others. They are considered the best among sages, serving as spiritual guides but also as ministers or advisors. So, they played a really crucial role in the governance and spiritual well-being of the realm. So, this was a supportive council of ministers. They were very wise, respected individuals aiding in the administration. Suyajñopyatha Jabalihi Kasyapopyatha Gautamaha Markandeyastu Dirghayuhu Tatha Katyayano Dvijaha. Suyajñaha, Suyajña, it's a name. Api, also. Atha, thus. Jabali, Jabali is another name. Kasyapa, Kasyapa is another name. Also, Api. Atha, thus. Gautamaha, Gautama. Markandeyaha, Markandeya. Tu, indeed. Dirghayuhu, long lived. One of the things about Markandeya is the story of Markandeya, who is supposed to be very long lived. In the Puranas it comes out. Tatha, likewise. Katyayanaha, Katyayana. Dvijaha, the twice born. So, Brahmins are considered to be twice born, in the sense they have the thread ceremony. So, this verse essentially lists the great sages associated with King Dasharatha's court. Suyajña, Jabali, Kasyapa, Gautama, they were prominent figures. Markandeya, who is known for his longevity. Katyayana, who is also a revered sage, they were also mentioned. So, all of these great individuals are integral to the court's spiritual council. Etair brahmarshirбhir nityam ritvijastasya paurvakaha vidyavinita hrimantaha kusala niyatendriyaha. Etai, by these brahmarshibhi, the sages. So there are levels to the sages. Brahmarshi means the highest level of transcendence you can receive as a sage. Nityam, always, Ritvijaha, these priests, Tasya, his Paurvakaha, from the very beginning, Vidya Vinitaha, well educated and humble, Hrimantaha, modest, Kusalaha, skilled, Niyatendriyaha, controlled senses. As usual, controlling the senses is very important. The verse describes the attributes of the sages serving as the priests for King Dasharatha. They were always there, having served from the very beginning, characterized by their education, modesty, skillfulness, control over their senses. 1.7.7 Srimantascha Mahatmanaha Shastrajña Dhrida Kirtimantaha Pranihitaha Yathavachanakarinaha. Srimantaha, affluent. See, they were affluent people. Mahatmanaha, great souls. Shastrajñaha, knowledgeable in the scriptures. Dridhavikramaha, steadfast in their efforts. Kirtimantaha, famous. Pranihitaha, dedicated. Yatha vachanakarinaha, who acted according to the words they spoke. See, noble in spirit, well versed in scripture, steadfast in their efforts, well renowned, dedicated, always who act according to what words are spoken. See, also they are wealthy. Being wealthy is not a bad thing. Tejaha, 1.7.8 Tejaha kshama yashaha prapta smita purva abhibhashinaha krodhat kamartha hetorva na bruyuranrutam vachaha. Tejaha, splendor, brilliance, kshama, forgiveness, yashaha, fame, prapta, having obtained, smita, with a smile, purva, before, abhibhashina, speaking, krodhat, from anger, kama, desire, artha, wealth, hetoho, for the sake of, va, or, na, not, bruyuhu, they would speak, anritam, falsehood, vachaha, words. So the summary of the verse goes that the ministers, they show forgiveness, they spoke with a smile, they would not speak false words, whether it is driven by anger, desire, or for the sake of wealth. 1.7.9 Teshama viditam kinchit sveshu nasti pareshu va kriyamanam kritam vapi charena pichi kirshitam. Tesham, of them, aviditam, unknown. Viditam means known, aviditam means unknown. Kinchit, anything. Sveshu, among their own. Nasti, is not. Pareshu, among others. Va, or. Kriyamanam, being done. Kriya, the task being done. Kritam, done. Vapi, or. Charena, by the spies. Spies are people who are looking into the kingdom to make sure they have their ears to what is happening. Chikirshitam, intended to be done also, api also. So what this verse is saying is very interesting. Nothing was unknown to them, whether among their own people or others. Whatever was being done, had been done, or is intended to be done, is known to them, even if it was through the spies. So they employed the spies. Chanakya also talks about spies in detail, how they used spies. So there is a continuity there. We'll talk about that more. 1.7.10 Kusala vyavahareshu sauhrudeshu parikshitaha prapta kalantu te dandam dharayeyuhu suteshvapi. Kusala, skilled, vyavahareshu, in conduct, sauhrudeshu, in friendships, parikshitaha, tested, prapta kalam, at the proper time, tu, but, te, they, dandam, punishment, dharayeyuhu, would impose, suteshu, on sons, api, even. What this is saying is the ministers were skilled in their conduct, and even their friendships, even if they are in a place to test, they would impose punishments when appropriate, even on their friends, even on their own sons. So that just shows their commitment to justice and propriety. 1.7.11 and this is something also there in Chanakya's Arthasastra. They talk about how to deliver justice. 1.7.11 Kosha sangrahane yukta balasya cha parigrahe ahitam chapi purusham navihim syuradushakam. Kosha sangrahane, in the accumulation of treasure, yukta, engaged, appropriate, balasya, of strength, army, cha, and parigrahe, parigraha means amassing, ahitam, harmful, enemy, chapi, and even, purusham, person, na, not, vihimsyuhu, would harm, adushakam, without fault. So they were appropriately engaged in the accumulation of the kingdom's treasure and in amassing an army. They would not harm even a person harmful to them if they were without fault. So that highlights their fairness and adherence to dharma. 1.7.12 Virascha niyatotsaha rajashastra manushtitaha suchinam rakshitarascha nityam vishayavasinam. Viraha, valiant, cha, and niyatotsaha, consistently enthusiastic. Rajashastra, similar to our constitution, whatever is part of the Rajashastra, observance of justice, basically. Anushtitaha, observed, practiced. Suchinam, of the pure. Rakshitaraha, protectors. Cha, and nityam, always. Vishayavasinam, of the residents of the kingdom. So the verse describes the ministers as valiant, consistently enthusiastic in observing the justice, how to deliver justice. They were always protectors of the good, implying their role as guardians of the kingdom's residents, their adherence to the moral and ethical standards of that time. Brahma kshatram ahimsantaste kosam sampurayan sutikshna dandaha sampreksha purushasya balabalam. Brahma kshatram, the priestly and warrior classes. Ahimsantas, not harming. They. Kosam, treasury. Sampurayan, completely filled. Sutikshna dandaha, very sharp in punishment. Where su means well, tikshna means sharp, and danda means punishment. Sampreksha means considering or observing. Purushasya, of a person. Balabalam, strength and weakness. And this is a very interesting verse. They managed to fully replenish the treasury without, by being judicious. Basically, they were judicious in meting out punishment. They always consider strengths and weaknesses of a person. It suggests a balanced and thoughtful approach to justice that took into account individual circumstances. Like, they did not punish people. For example, there are learned ones that have, they punished them more versus people who didn't know. And even that is there addressed in Chanakya's Arthasastra as well. So there's that connection. Let's get into the next set of verses starting from 1.7.14. I am going to finish the next set of verses. Once they are done, we'll delve deeper into Chanakya's Arthasastra and the connection to this Sarga. Suchinam ekabuddhinam sarvesham samprajanatam nasit pureva rashtreva mrushabadi narah kvachit kaschinna dustastatrasit paradararato naraha prasantam sarvamevasit rastram puravaranchatat subhasasaha suveshascha techa sarve sushilinaha hitarthancha narendrasya jagrato nayachakshusha guror gunagruhitascha prakhyataascha parakrame videsheshvapi vignataah sarvato buddhinischayat abhito gunavantascha nachasan gunavarjitaah sandhi vigraha tatvajñāः prakrutya sampadanvitaah mantra samvarane shaktaah slakshnaah sukshma subuddhishu niti shastra visheshajñāः satatam priyavadinah idrusaistayr amatyaistu raja Dasharatho nagha upapanno gunopetair anvashasatvasundaram avekshamaanascharena prajadharmena ranjayan prajanam palanam kurvan adharman parivarjayan vishrutastrishu lokeshu vadanyah satyasankaraha satatra purusha vyagraha sasasa prithivimimam nadhyagacchad visishtham va tulyam va shatrumatmanaha mitravannata samantaha pratapahata kantakaha sasasa jagatraja divam devapatir tair mantribhir mantrahite niyuktaihi vrto anuraktaihi kusalaihi samarthaihi saparthivo deeptimavapayuktaha tejomayair gobhiribodito arkaha saparthivo deeptimavapayuktaha tejomayair gobhiribodito arkaha. Verse 1.7.14 Suchinam ekabuddhinam sarvesham samprajanatam Nasit pureva rastreva mrishavadi narah kvachit. Suchinam, of the pure, ekabuddhinam, somebody with a single-minded focus. Sarvesyam, of all, sam prajanatam, knowing, some praja janatam, knowing about, deeply understanding. Nasit, there was not. Pure, in the city. Va, or rashtre, in the kingdom. Va, or mrishavadi, liar, speaker of falsehood. Naraha, man. Kvachit, anywhere. So this verse depicts a society of pure and single-minded, focused individuals who are aware and have deep understanding of people. And the verse is saying that there was not a single man in either the city or the kingdom who would speak falsehoods. It reflects an ideal community characterized by honesty and unity of purpose. Verse 1.7.15. Kaschinna dustastatrasit paradarato naraha prashantam sarvamevasit rastram puravarancha tat. Kaschin, anyone, na, not, dustaha, wicked, corrupted, tatrasi, there was, paradarato, indulged in adulterous behavior, naraha, man, prashantam, peaceful, tranquil, sarvamevasit, all was indeed, rastram, kingdom, puravaram, best of the cities, cha, and that, tat, that. Summary of the verse 1.7.15. In this verse, I mean, it's a kind of a repetition from prior sargas where they are saying that there were no adulterous men or people to be found within the kingdom in that best of the cities, signifying a peaceful and morally upright society where tranquility and ethical conduct prevailed throughout. Suvasasaha suveshascha te cha sarve sushilinaha hitarthancha narendrasya jagrato nayachakshusha. Subhasasaha, well dressed, suveshaha, well attired, cha, and te, they, cha, and sarve, all, sushilinaha, of good character, hitartham, for the welfare, cha, and narendrasya, of the king, jagrato, vigilant, nayachakshusha, with the eye on policy, somebody who is wise. The verse describes people as well dressed, well attired, all of good character, vigilant, who act with the eye on wisdom for the welfare of the king and the subjects. So this society depicts a society that not only valued appearance and ethics but also dedication to the well-being of the ruler and the state. 1.7.17 Guror guna gruhitascha prakhyatascha parakrame videshesvapi vijnataha sarvato buddhinischayat. Guror guna gruhitascha, having grasped the virtues of the teacher, cha, and prakhyataha, renowned, cha, and parakrame, in valor, videshesvapi, even in foreign lands, vijnataha, known, recognized, sarvato, in all respects, buddhinischayat, due to their intelligence and a focus. Summary of the verse goes that there are individuals, these are the individuals, the ministers they are talking about, who have absorbed the virtues of their teachers. They are renowned for their valor, and they are recognized even in foreign lands for their intelligence and determination. So, what is valued of individuals, that is being shown here, not only here in your place but also internationally. So the concept of only being in the country, that's not even our concept, Bharatiya concept. Abhito gunavantascha nachasan gunavarjitaha sandhi vigraha tattvajnaha prakrutya sampadanvita. Guna, it's about talking about the virtues, sandhi vigraha tattvajnaha, for example, knowledgeable in the principles of peace and war, prakrutya, by nature, sampadanvitaha, endowed with wealth and prosperity. So the verse describes individuals who are naturally endowed with guna and also wealth, knowledgeable in the strategic principles of making peace and waging war, indicating their proficiency in statecraft and diplomacy. 1.7.19 Mantra samvarane sektaha slakshnaha sukshmasu buddhishu niti shastra visheshajnaha satatam priyavadinaha. Mantra samvarane, in keeping counsels secret, sektaha, capable, slakshnaha, smooth, gentle, sukshmasu, small little things as well, in subtle buddhishu, intellect, understanding. Niti Sastra Visheshajnaha, experts in the specifics of Niti Sastra, means what's the right thing, moral, and Visheshajnaha, they are the experts in that, in the science. Satatam, always, Priyavadinaha, pleasant speakers. So the ministers, what are the qualities of the ministers, right? And again, this is also referred to in Chanakya's Arthasastra as ministers as capable of keeping state secrets, important, possessing gentle and subtle intellect, and then knowledge of what is moral. Idrusair tair amatyaistu raja Dasharatho nagha upapanno gunopetair anvasasat vasundharam. Idrusaihi, such, idrusai, tai, by those, amatyaihi, ministers, tu, indeed, raja, king, Dasharatha, anaghaha, sinless, without fault, basically, anaghaha, without fault, upapanno, endowed, accompanied, gunopetaihi, virtues, anvasasat, ruled Vasundharam, the earth. King Dasharatha, who is described as faultless, was endowed with virtues and ruled the earth. And of course, he was assisted by these wonderful and skilled and wise ministers, indicating his prosperous and just reign. 1.7.21 Avekshamanas charena prajadharmena ranjayan prajanam palanam kurvan adharman parivarjayan. Avekshamanaha, overseeing, charena, by the spies. So spies are very important. Even in Chanakya's Arthasastra, the quality of the spice is referred to and what kind of spice you need in different places. So that makes it really interesting. Praja, subjects, people, dharmena, with righteousness, ranjayan, delighting or pleasing, prajanam, of the subjects, palanam, protection or the governance of them, palanam, ruling or protection, governance of that, kurvan, doing, performing, adharman, injustices, parivarjayan, avoiding. King Dasharatha, while overseeing his kingdom through the spies, governed his people with righteousness, ensuring welfare, avoiding any injustices that happen, and thereby delighting and protecting his subjects. 1.7.22 Visrutas Trishu Lokeshu Vadanyaha Satyasankaraha Satatra Purusha Vyagraha Sashasa Purdhavi Mimam. Visrutaha, famous, Trishu, in three, Lokeshu, worlds, Vadanyaha, generous, Satyasangaraha, adherent, they are adherents to truth. Sa, he, Tatra, there, Purusha Vyagraha, tiger among men, obviously they are describing Dasharatha, ruled, Sashasa, ruled Purdhavim, the earth, Imam, this. So summary of the 1.7.22 is basically they are praising Dasharatha. The verse praises Dasharatha as renowned in all three worlds for his generosity, adherence to truth, like a tiger among men, and ruled over the earth. It shows his kind of praising his exceptional leadership and the respect he commanded universally. 1.7.23 Nadhyagachat Vasistham va tulyam va setrumatmanah mitravan natasamantaha pratapaha takantakaha tasasa jagatraja divam deva patiryatha. Nadhyagachat, did not encounter, Vasistham, superior, Vasistham va, or tulyam va, equal to, Shatrum, enemy, Atmanaha, to himself, Mitravan, having friends, Nata Samantaha, with bowed vassals, Pratapaha Takantakaha, depicting a sovereign whose unmatched strength and alliances ensured his unchallenged dominion. He is like the Lord of the gods ruling over heaven. He ruled the earth, obviously. It's like likening to divine rulership. Tair mantribhir mantrahite niyuktaihi vruto anuraktaihi kusalaihi samarthaihi saparthivo deeptimabapa yuktaha tejomayair gobhiribodito arkaha. 1.7.24 Tai, by those, mantribhihi, ministers, mantrahite, good counsel, niyuktaihi, appointed, engaged, vritai, surrounded, anuraktaihi, devoted, kusalaihi, skilled, samarthaihi, capable, sa, he, parthivo, the king, deepti mabapa, abapa, brilliance, avapa, obtained, yuktaha, means endowed within, contained within, tejomayaihi, radiant, gobhihi, by race, iva, like, udita arkaha, the risen sun. So the king was like the risen sun with radiant rays, indicating the king's magnificence. He was ably supported by wise, loyal and competent ministers. We can see how this narrative of Sarga 7 against the backdrop of Ayodhya's enlightened rule sets an ideal governance model that balances pragmatism with ethics. You might have heard the maxim, the ends justify the means. The Prince is a 16th century political treatise written by the Italian diplomat, philosopher and political theorist Niccolo Machiavelli in the form of a realistic instruction guide for new princes. As a remarkable general theme, the Prince appears to take it for granted that immoral acts are justified if they can help achieve political glory. Pragmatism over ethics, power over responsibility, strategy over compassion. This is precisely the reason it completely pales in comparison to the depth and breadth of Chanakya's Arthasastra from 300 BCE, which has more relevance to today's politics, where ethics are also very important. The story of Chanakya goes like this. He was a teacher and a resident of Takshila or Takshasila in northwestern part of India. Around that time, Alexander invaded India. It was 326 BCE. Chanakya travelled from Takshila to Pataliputra, which was in the central part of India. He asked the king of the Nanda Empire, Dhanananda, for help in fighting Alexander. Dhanananda humiliated Chanakya and had him thrown out of the palace. Chanakya took a vow of vengeance at this humiliation. Around this time, Alexander's army was tired of fighting. They wanted to return. Alexander tried to persuade them, but he couldn't. So he had to turn back anyway, and he died on the way, not before he installed some satraps. After Alexander's return, Chanakya propped up one of his students by name Chandragupta Maurya. This Chandragupta did not come from nobility. You have to remember, even in 300 BCE, the person who started the Maurya Empire did not come from nobility. But Chanakya saw something in the student. Being a brilliant strategist, Chanakya plotted, extracted his vengeance and installed Chandragupta Maurya on the throne of the Nanda Empire. Then made multiple moves to get him married to the daughter of the satrap and neutralized that satrap threat. Under Chanakya's tutelage and strategic direction, the Mauryan Empire spread over the length and breadth of India and all the way to Gandhara, the present day Afghanistan. But some claim he didn't exist. Interestingly, the story of his vengeance against the Nanda Empire who insulted him was in Jain texts, Buddhist texts and Kashmiri texts. It was also in the play called Mudra Rakshasa, written during the Gupta period, 4th to 6th century AD, 1000 years later. The ancient Arthasastra has been traditionally attributed to Chanakya by a number of scholars. The Arthasastra itself identifies its author as Kautilya, except for one verse that refers to him by the personal name of Vishnugupta. Some think that the traditional identification of Vishnugupta with Kautilya was caused by a confusion of the text's editor and its originator. Some people think Vishnugupta was a redactor or editor of the original work of Kautilya. Some suggest that Chanakya and Kautilya may have been two different people. Regardless whether it is one or two or three people, we have an Arthasastra written by a group of people represented by this famous figure Chanakya. Artha means wealth. Sastra means area of knowledge. But this Sastra was about how wealth can be acquired through good taxation and how to use that wealth for improving governance, expanding the kingdom and providing a just and able administration. Let me give you two chapters in Arthasastra where Chanakya delves into the qualities necessary for ministers and the intricate methods of testing their loyalty and integrity. Chapter 8, it's the creation of ministers. In this chapter, Chanakya presents a debate among scholars regarding the ideal qualities of ministers. Let me give you a summary of viewpoints. One of them, Bharadwaja, suggests employing classmates as ministers to prove honesty and capacity. Vishalaksha argues against this, cautioning that familiarity might breed contempt and disrespect towards the king. Parasara advises against sharing personal secrets with the ministers due to the mutual fear of betrayal, suggesting instead to choose those who've shown loyalty, even in the face of life-threatening challenges. Pisuna emphasizes intelligence over loyalty, proposing that the appointment of ministers should be based on financial acumen and ability to exceed expectations. Kaunapadanta recommends choosing ministers from families with a history of ministerial service, citing their inherent loyalty and understanding of statecraft. Vatavyathi advocates for selection of new individuals proficient in polity, arguing that they are more likely to respect the king's authority. Son of Bahudanti warns against the selection of individuals with only theoretical knowledge, advocating for those with practical political experience, born of high family and demonstrating wisdom, purity, loyalty and bravery. Kautilya though concludes by emphasizing the importance of demonstrated ability and practical experience in work, advocating for a diversified approach to appointing ministers based on the proven capacities in various tests. So, different points of view, taking all of them, understanding, synthesizing and developing a framework. Is this philosophy not fascinating? This book of Arthasastra is at least from 300 BCE. Don't you think we need such enlightened leadership? Leaders should debate rights and wrongs with each other, not make these grandiose statements we are hearing. We may want to get there in our country. What do you guys think? Okay, another interesting chapter I would like to talk about on the selection of the ministers. Very interesting stuff. So these are the specific qualities and tests that outlined by Chanakya in Arthasastra, where chapter 8 focuses on creation of ministers, while chapter 10 is about ascertaining by temptations purity or impurity in the character of the ministers. One is religious allurement. So he would test ministers' reactions to proposals of unrighteous actions under the guise of religious justification. That's very interesting. Monetary allurement, gauging ministers' integrity by tempting them with immense wealth in exchange for participating in a plot to murder the king. Another one is love allurement. This is about assessing the loyalty by tempting ministers with illicit love affairs, leveraging the allure of romance and wealth. Another one is allurement under fear. They test based on the steadfastness of the ministers to betray the king during a moment of vulnerability. So based on these tests, ministers are then assigned roles that align with the purity of their character, tested under these 4 conditions. For instance, those who withstand religious temptations are deemed fit for judicial positions. Those who resist monetary temptations are suited for financial administration. I mean, this is the meticulousness of Chanakya's strategies, revealing a profound understanding of human nature and complexities of governance. He advocates for such rigorous testing, aims to create a council of ministers whose loyalty, integrity and competence are beyond question. This deep dive into Arthasastra's chapters tells us about a nuanced approach of ancient Indian political thought towards selection and evaluation of ministers. It offers timeless insights into the art of governance. Think about this way, in our civil service, don't you think what we need are some kind of allurement tests? People are getting into these high positions in the society just based on their ability to crack some tests, some written tests, examinations. We are not judging their character. What do you guys think? Should we introduce such allurements? That will be interesting. The narrative thread that connects these ancient texts is the emphasis on the moral and ethical qualities of those who govern. While the Ramayana illustrates the ideal characteristics of ministers, the Arthasastra provides practical manual on ensuring that those in power remain uncorrupted and dedicated to the welfare of the state. In Civilizational Bridge, we draw parallels between these ancient ideals and contemporary challenges of leadership and governance. The timeless wisdom of the Ramayana and Arthasastra reminds us that these qualities of those in power impact the well-being of society. It's about relentless pursuit of dharma. Do the leaders of today embody the virtues extolled in the Ramayana and Arthasastra? How do modern societies test the integrity and loyalty of those in power? These questions are not just academic, they are vital for continued prosperity and righteousness of our global civilization. Join us next time on Civilizational Bridge as we continue to explore the rich tapestry of wisdom that ancient civilizations offer to the modern world. It's a call to rediscover and revalue the profound insights of Chanakya. As we conclude this episode, let us carry forward the legacy of Chanakya's Arthasastra. Please continue to get your friends, family and children engaged to this channel. If you want to learn Sanskrit or English or etymology of words, if you are interested in history, or maybe you don't have time but you want to pass on some of the great civilizational values or stories that we inherited, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you like and share, the YouTube algorithms will pick it up to spread the word. इत्यार्षे श्रीमद् रामायणे वाल्मीकीय आदिकाव्ये बालकाण्डे सप्तम सर्गः।